Okay, so this entire episode, I was on edge because there's a lot going on. But what's really cool to me is that I think I found a new power couple, although they're not canon, Mel and Abby. So I guess they'd be Mabby. I don't know. Hi guys, my name is Maria Park and this is Approach the Nerd, and in this episode we are talking Charm Season 2 Episode 16 entitled The Enemy of My Frenemy, which is a very weird title, but I guess it needed to rhyme. So this may be a very long review because there was a lot that happened in this episode, and for the most part our trio of girls stayed together. I'm not going to go verbatim through the episode. When I say there was a lot, there was a lot. It's like they decided this week that everybody was going to be in this story at some point and in some capacity, except for Julian's aunt and the side characters that we've known or we've just met. Like there was no Celeste, obviously, but I mean, it's like crazy how many people were in this episode. It's weird, but let's just kind of jump in. So Julian is back. Something that I thought was very interesting about Julian is, he was supposed to meet Macy for coffee. And when she walks in on him, he's talking about like something about growth regulators with mosquitoes, which are supposed to control their fertility, I guess, trying to wipe them out. I'm still, and I mean, I may be alone in this, I am still Camp Julian is either part of the faction or he is the head of the faction, which is what I think is actually happening. I think all of the research that the faction is able to do is because of his brain, because he's like Macy. And I don't foresee anyone being smarter than him in that organization. So not even his aunt. I just don't. I think that he bankrolls it and he is the overlord of their organization, basically. And when he was talking about this growth regulator, I kept thinking about biology class and how we learned about mRNA splicing, which is key because when Macy and Harry were sharing a moment in the attic and they were kind of looking at information on the screen, she brought up how she thought there was an elegance to the science of magical beings being spliced with human DNA, even if it's corpses, which is actually so Macy and so creepy. But she finds the beauty in the technology, the procedure, not the act, which she still thinks is an abomination, but she kept stressing that, but it's so elegant and it's so fascinating. So that would be an interesting conundrum if she stayed with Julian and found out what he was doing and why he was doing it, because it basically is a scientist versus a witch, like her moral compass. So I mean, it's just really interesting. So I think that when he was on the phone with the ambassador, he was actually talking about the faction business, and that was all code for what he was talking about. Why are you talking about getting rid of mosquitoes with the ambassador? Is really our growth control is really stupid for generations to come. Now he is an environmentalist. We think that's what he's putting out there. He wants to save the world. Maybe he thinks that mosquitoes need to go because they serve no purpose in the natural order. I don't know. I still think he's shady. I'm sorry, he is too perfect. He gives Macy a necklace because he wants to be exclusive. She does not wear it. She tells her sisters it's because, well, what if a demon takes it? Or how do I explain being a witch? But we all know it's because of Harry. I mean, we know Macy is still strong. and the hasty thing is not going anywhere. So yeah. He was only in it for a micro minute, but again, I said a lot of people were in this episode. So we have that. The girls get called away to save this witch from what I think they're called carnal demons. His name is Alfie, and apparently he's the only male heir to be, I guess, the next in line to be ahead of the carnal demons. And so when they took him out, when they saved the witch's life, they broke a treaty. And the demons are kind of in an uproar because, they have a delicate balance as it is, witches versus demons, and they don't want to go to war. So the girls go to Abigail for help because, that's what they always do. They put her down, but they always show up at her place every single time. And, Abigail's already had it out with Godric because, yes, Godric's in this episode too. And he's like, you either take care of the charmed ones and kill them or it's going to be your head. Well, what he didn't tell her was it's him that's going to make it be her head because, he is just two-faced and shady. So he decides when she's not taking the charmed ones out that he's going to basically become the new overlord. But he does this by freeing Parker to get Parker's aid in taking Abigail down, which we'll get to in a second. In the interim, Abigail's plan was to go to this like social media influencer that has over 10 million, followers, which Maggie even knew who she was, and she had no idea she was a demon, and she just happens to be a carnal demon. And, they're trying to get her, or Abby's trying to convince her to be the next female leader of the carnal demons. Well, the moment Godric crashes the party with Parker, that woman turns. She's like, you tried to recruit me under false pretenses, and bam, she's out. So she's all in it for herself. She's a businesswoman. Abigail should have known that. What's interesting is that Parker cannot bring himself to hurt Maggie. So when Godric is basically trying to capture the Charmed Ones and Abigail in Lee's penthouse, apartment, office, whatever, Parker is able to teleport Macy and Maggie to safety, but poor Mel is stuck with Abigail. And this is where it gets interesting for me. They have a lot of chemistry when it's just them. They banter a lot, but I mean, when it's just them, they have a lot of chemistry, and they get locked in this cell, the same cell Parker was in that Abigail designed. So like she said, it's flawless. We can't escape. It's flawless like me, flawless design. Well, Mel asked about the two demons that are guarding them. They're scavenger vagrant demons. Apparently they're in the demon world. They're treated lowly, and they're subjected to poverty and having basically scavenger for things to stay alive. Well, Abigail convinces the demons to let her go, and she'll give them all the money that they can spend for generations to come, and that they can just take Mel and barbecue her, basically do whatever you want. Well, Mel's getting ticked off, saying, she's just a two-faced, can't trust a demon, blah, blah, blah. She made that comment earlier, and Abigail comes back and saves her with a dagger that it's the same one that she uses to strip demon power. She actually kills the vagrant demons and frees Mel, which means she's not completely evil. I mean, there's been moments when she was trash, but she's also got the witch side, which I don't think she likes, but is leaning more towards. And the way her and Mel work together, it's just, I don't know. There's such a chemistry to them. I used to think that Maggie and Parker were like the Phoebe and Cole of this show, but I actually think, in a way they still are, they're ending it especially. Parker doesn't die, but we'll get to that. But I really think that the real Phoebe and Cole is actually potentially Mel and Abigail, just the way Mel reacted to her, especially when they were at the bar at the end of the episode, and Abigail's like, I don't know what I'm going to do. People are going to come after me. The demon world, I'll probably be dead by the end of the week. And then Mel's like, well, I can give you potions and stuff to protect yourself, and you should come over to the witchy side. And Abigail's like, I like being evil. It makes me more interesting. And then she says, but maybe you can convince me to be bi-witchal, basically bi-magical, whatever. But it's like that whole banter and the way Mel kind of looked off, I'm like, oh, she would look like she was attracted to her. So I don't know. That could be a thing. That could be how they keep her in the show. She actually hooks up with Mel. And I'm for it. I think it's cool. Just with a different ending. Not like the Cole and Phoebe ending, please. But yeah, so moving past that, so much happened. So they found out initially, Harry and Macy, when they were researching, that there's a place in Idaho called MRTI Medical Facility, and they're basically having people sign over their bodies when they die or donate them, basically. And they have this bodies on ice transport vans that take the dead bodies there, and that's the corpses they're using to reanimate or splice with magical and human DNA together and creating these monsters. So Harry tried to infiltrate it, but they have a magic barrier up, and they also have magic detectors. So he goes to Jordan and he recruits Jordan. He's like, will you help me? And you have to basically be dead. And Jordan's like, wait, what? The banter between them is just hilarious, especially when Jordan is like, I usually almost die on all of these missions. It's just, I love their interactions with each other. And I love the fact that Harry's like, well, you really care about her, Maggie. And he's like, they have this whole thing, and Jordan's like, I don't really know if I'm in Maggie's life, and it could be a timing thing, and it might be too late. And he references soup, and then of course Harry's like, well, how do you know if it's too late? And I'm like, he's talking about Macy, totally talking about Macy. But yeah, he gets Jordan to pretend to be dead. He takes a sleeping potion, and he's like, and Jordan's like, are you sure this is not basically going to kill me? He's like, well, it's like the adverts say, there could be side effects, but he takes the potion and he's asleep, and he has 30 minutes before he wakes up. The interesting thing that happens while Harry is running around, Jordan is visited by one of the witches that was killed by his ancestor, Lawrence Mortimer Chase. And she gives him like this morbid message, like this poem, because he thinks, okay, she's coming to me to take me to the other side, because she's basically, while he's asleep, he's in limbo between life and death. And she's like, I can send you back. But she's like, she has this like half burned face, and she's like really, really menacing. But she gives him a message, because he, of course, when he talked to Abigail, he's like, oh, I definitely can like find some of the descendants of the witches that my ancestor pretty much killed and murdered, and help them. And she's like, yeah, but there aren't a lot of those. But she said, give the charm, she gives him this poem and then says, tell or warn the charm ones. And the thing that stood out to me that says that a trio of light and dark will be found. So does that mean that we're going to get a pair or a triple sister, or basically charmed ones that are dark, like evil charmed ones? Because that's what it sounds like. It sounds like Mel, Macy, and Maggie are like the charmed ones of light, and then you have the charmed ones of darkness. So 3 siblings, and it says 3 sisters will be found, and it's a trio. And when you find, once you find these sisters, it sounds like everything goes to crap. So I'm intrigued, because we already understood that there's more. Actually, the charm ones, it has been like generations and generations and generations of different families. So how do we know there's not a darker version of it too? Because that's how you yin and yang things. So there has to be dark to light. And that is a very interesting concept, especially if that is done correctly. We're going to pray. But I like that concept of having an evil version of the charm ones with just as powerful, because that really makes it like steps the game up even more to me. But yeah, so there's that. Basically, Harry, who's running around the facility while, supposedly Jordan's supposed to be dead, he runs into the same woman they saw in the club. She's the same actress that plays Nerissa in Picard, and she was the sister of Captain Cold in The Flash, and of course she was in the Tomorrow People, and I don't remember her name. It's like Peyton something, but she's a very, very good actress. But that woman is in everything, and right now she's playing a lot of evil characters. And for some reason, she thinks that Harry is Jimmy, and I don't know if they know about Harry. I guess that's something a question. Do they know that there's a good version? Do they know that there's a dark to a white lighter? Do they even know that Jimmy was a dark lighter, or just a creature they control? Do they know the lore? Do they know any of this stuff? Do they know about the elders? Do they know about the charm ones? I really want to know. I really do. But apparently this chick and Jimmy had a relationship, like to the point where she's like making out with him and stuff in the car. But yeah, so Harry, he has to play along so he doesn't die, basically, or be discovered. And so she basically takes him into a car that has Idaho plates, and they drive off. And we don't know what's going to happen because, she's got him. So yeah, this is intriguing. So Jimmy was having a relationship with one of the faction goon girls. And that's what I'm calling them. Okay, so we have that. Parker and Maggie I'm just going to say it. Maggie is actually, in my opinion, not fair to Parker. I understand that he has that dark side, but she knew he was half demon when she first got with him. What did she expect that to be? What did she think that was going to look like? Did she think, oh yeah, you're half demon, but you're half human, so you just use that side? You know what I mean? It's like, really? So she's like, you can't undo these things when you were jealous and you were just trying to kill Jordan. But I get that. But he made a point of, technically, that is not truly him. Because some of the things that he was doing was because he was, hyped up, number one, on those apples. And then number two, it was like, when he went to go after Jordan, he was completely gone. The whole demonic overlord power was to his head, but that was also an influence of Godric and Abigail. So, I mean, for me, it's just weird that she holds all of these actions against him, but he has been so beneficial. It's kind of like what they did to Abigail, last week, where they were like, oh, Abby's doing this and it's all Abby's fault and blah, 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 or the previous week. All of this stuff about Abigail. They're doing the same thing to her brother. And Maggie should not have been judging him like that. I'm just saying that whole conversation to me was stupid. And it was just a way to greenlight her to go with Jordan. And I like Jordan and her. I'm just saying this man even stripped his powers for you. and you're just like, Bab, it's too late. I can't do this anymore. I can't. Yeah, okay. So I am not a big fan of how Maggie handles relationships. And in that regard, I still consider her very much a child. And that's one thing she hates. But I feel like if you don't want to be considered a child, then stop acting like one. I'm just saying. I did like the fights or the sparring between her and Mel and her taking Mel down. That was funny. But she's a little pompous now because like she's like, I'm not a child anymore. When Mel's like, I used to be able to beat you up, you know, and basically telling Jordan, oh, whoever comes our way, we got the power 3, we'll just take him out. You know, it's like, okay, calm down. You know, so Maggie is definitely, I don't know. She just needs to grow up a little bit. That's just my opinion though. And then we have... So Macy has this new power. I think she called it immobility. So when the girls use the cloaking potion to go and save Mel and Abigail, it wears off because there wasn't a lot. So they're in the, what was the name of it? Because basically Godric had the dagger and he was going to go proclaim himself, you know, the new overlord by killing Abigail, the former, you know, overlord, and killing a charmed one, essentially ending the charm, you know, there's no power 3, so you're basically ending the charm ones. And it was called the Sanctuary of Zagon, and it's in New Mexico. And so they go there to save Mel and Abigail with Parker's help, and the potion wears off, and so they're getting ready to retreat, and then Macy holds her hand out, and then the entire room like is immobile. It's almost like she has a version of a freezing power with her telekinesis. It's very confusing, and I don't know why. I don't know where this immobility came from. I love how they just randomly throw these abilities out. Like you've got Mel, who's basically Firestorm and Elsa. You know, you got Maggie, who actually, I don't know if she has anything more than premonitions. I'm sure we're going to see something else because this is a whole new world of charm. So they're doing their own thing. But, you know, Macy, having her advanced, like I think power or supercharged version of telekinesis is already cool, but now she's able to immobilize people. Now, I guess if I'm playing devil's advocate, Prue is able to astral project her body. So, I mean, they did evolve powers and get other powers, and Piper, of course, was able to blow things up as well as slow things down. So, I don't know. I mean, that could just be a natural progression that would have occurred anyway and got kind of like fast forwarded because they got the power 3 back. I don't know. But it's interesting that happened. Like her power evolved from telekinesis, or she probably still has telekinesis, to immobility. I don't know. I got questions. But yeah, I mean, all in all, this was a very, very good episode. I guess I want to know more about the faction. I want to know, did Julian start the faction because his parents were killed by a demon? Or was the faction created? Like if you watch a Netflix series, The October Faction, is it something like that? They're basically thinking magical creatures are a threat to humanity, and so the best way to fight magic is with magic and by creating your own creatures. And Julian was like the spearhead of that because his parents were murdered by demons, and so that's his way of getting revenge on all magical creatures, even though he doesn't realize he's actually dating one. I mean, is that, I don't know. I just feel like that could be a thing. There's so much. There's so much. This episode just went bam, bam, bam. And I probably left something out. If I did, please let me know. But I mean, theories. I mean, it's like the faction. I need to know more before I have a generalized theory. But I think Julian is the spearhead. And like I said, I think this is all started so he can get revenge. And his aunt's on board because it's either his uncle or either his mother or his father is her sister or brother. So keeping it in the family, I guess. The whole thing with Hasty and the whole thing with Maggie and Jordan, of course we're going to see more of it because they're both in the same boat right now. I mean, Jordan doesn't have it as bad because Maggie's pretty much already moved on to Jordan. He just doesn't realize it yet. Macy is completely into Harry. Harry is completely into Macy. So Hasty is there. Julian is an obstacle. And I think that this obstacle is going to get a lot more dangerous because he's very calm. He's very, accommodating. He's very safe, she thinks. And he's rich and he dotes on her and he's brilliant like her. and he's perfect. And even Mel says maybe if you can't wear that necklace, then maybe he's not the perfect guy for you. But I think that the underlining terms are that he actually is the head of the faction, and that's another reason why you don't need to be with him. But yeah, it's just a lot. I really, really enjoyed this episode. I cannot wait to next week. The trailer when they're trying to go figure out how to save Harry looks really, really cool. I probably will do another theory video as we evolve, maybe before next Friday, but I'm not sure with this coronavirus. It's really hard. I'm trying to stay on track with all of my reviews. I mean, I'm late on Picard, so I'm doing the best I can. It's just I'm working from home, and it's a lot. So hopefully I will be able to get another video out about Charmed sometime this week. Hopefully just with general theories. I'll do like maybe an outline of. But until then, I want to know what you guys think. So please leave me a comment below and let me know. And if you'd like to sign up for jury duty, hit the subscribe button. If you'd like to know who's next on the nerd ballot, hit the notification bell. Until next time, I can't wait for you to approach the nerd. Bye, guys. Thank you for watching my video. I really appreciate it. But hey, the party doesn't have to stop now. Click on one of these videos and keep it going.